everybody, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today for a new Studio Monday video. Today we're going to be looking at 3 different ways to use sequins in your cards, and I'm also going to be featuring some of our brand new Simon Says Stamp Cherished Release products. This video is going to be showcasing the techniques that I used with the sequins, and I'll talk quickly about the products that I used from our new release to create these cards. More information about how I created the entire card will be over at the blog, so make sure you go ahead and check that out. I'll have a link in the video description for you to go ahead and visit the blog to get more details on these finished cards. So this first card that I created features the Big Perfect Shapes die set, and I created this really cute little heart shape cut out into this panel, and I filled it in with sequins. Filling in a shape with sequins is a really fun way to be able to use your sequins to color in a shape or an image. It's cute and adds a totally new feel to a die cut shape. So as you can see here, I started off by cutting into a white panel with the new Wonky Stitches rectangle dies. I'm taking the Big Perfect Shapes dies, this is the heart shape, and I'm going to cut a heart out of the left side of that panel. I'm then going to realign that die onto the panel, this time just slightly overlapping that first heart that we cut, and I'm going to cut it a second time to create 2 hearts that are interlocked with each other. This makes a really cute window and would make a totally adorable shaker card. But I went ahead and stamped this entire piece with the Big Perfect Shapes stamp set using a variety of Simon Says Stamp inks. I overlapped these hearts to create a really cool layered effect. You can see how even that lighter color layers over top of the darker colors and creates some really cool effects. I also used an ink dusting tool with some cotton candy and teeny bikini inks, and I added a little bit of inking to that background just to give it a tint of color. So to create the shaped area, I wanted to have it recessed into the window. Now you don't have to recess it. You could totally adhere this straight down onto the card and not have to worry about having it recessed, but I liked the look. So I went ahead and popped it up off of my A2 size card with some foam tape, and then I'm going to start filling in the shape with some sequins. It goes quicker if you add some dots of glue down ahead of time and then drop the sequins into place. I started off by going around the entire outside edges of the heart and then worked my way towards the middle, and that helped me fill it in really nicely. So as I continue adding sequins into those areas, I'm going to move them around and maneuver them to make them fit into that area, and I used 6mm sequins from Pretty Pink Posh to add into this heart, and you can see they fit inside really well. I'm using liquid glue because that's going to allow me to maneuver these if I have some areas where I need to kind of switch it around. I'm also bringing in some lighter pink sequins that are 4mm, and I'm dropping those in over top of some of the red sequins. You don't have to do this, but I think it adds a little bit of interest and adds a little extra embellishment to the hearts. You can see the really cool reflective effect that we have from the sequins creating this really cool pattern inside these hearts. I added a sentiment from one of our Simon Says Stamp sentiment sets on some black cardstock, and that finished off this card. Really cute. I love how the sequins lay in there to create the pattern. You could use multiple colors of sequins with this, or use just single colors like I did here. I also filled in some of the smaller areas in between some of the larger sequins with some smaller 4mm sequins. You don't have to do this, but I liked filling it in a little bit more and making sure that they had good coverage inside the hearts. Alright, so my next card features our Floral Sparkle Wreath die set, and I used this to create a shaker window, but I also used the sequins to create an embellishment on my wreath. So for those of you that are new to sequins and card making, you can create not only the shaker card, but you can also use the embellishments to embellish that shaker card as well. Here's a close-up look at the Floral Sparkle Wreath die. I really love how it creates these beautiful floral shapes as a negative, so you can create a window or use it as a shaker card like I'm doing today. I've cut a piece of white cardstock with one of our large Wonky Stitch rectangle dies, and then I die cut the wreath into that panel that I had added the stitching onto, and I'm going to work on building my shaker card. So to build the shaker card, I need to cut a piece of acetate that's going to be just larger than the shape itself. So I'm adding some double-sided adhesive strips along the edges of the wreath. And then after I've removed the adhesive backing, I'll go ahead and take that piece of acetate and I'll place that right on top of the adhesive strips to hold that down. This is going to allow our shaker pieces to stay in place and not fall through those die cut openings. You could also use packaging from, say, stamps and dies, or even vellum if you'd like to. All sorts of different things. As long as it's semi-clear and not too thick, you can use that for a window on your shaker cards. So what you see me doing here is I'm adding double-sided foam tape all the way around my wreath. And I'm going to make this 2 layers thick so it gives the sequins a little bit of extra room to shake around and move. Once I've added all my adhesive around the outside edges of the frame, I'm now working on adding adhesive around the other areas so that the other areas of this panel are going to be the exact same level of depth as the foam tape that we added around the shaker. So we don't want any areas to not be as thick because the paper won't lay level onto our card. So to make this quick, I'm actually taking 2 pieces of foam tape together, back to back, and I'm going to cut them just like this. This is going to allow me to save on cutting so I won't have to cut so many strips. I can double them up all at once and then use that really long strip to go ahead and add that onto my panel. After I've added all of my foam tape, I'm taking some sequins. These are some from Lucy's cards, and it has this really gorgeous purple and pale blue mix with a lot of pretty clear and iridescent sequins. It's just a gorgeous mix. I really, really love it. So I'm using this to add inside of my shaker, and I'm making sure I get a good coverage of sequins in there. That way most areas of that die cut pattern will have sequins behind it. To make the sequins pop off and have a little bit of contrast, I'm using some dark blue cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and you can see how that looks with the sequins inside. So beautiful and really, really pretty. Because that piece was larger than my panel, I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the excess pieces with my scissors. And now I'm going to take some more of those sequins from that same sequin collection from Lucy's cards, and I'm going to add those in some of the different areas around the wreath to create an embellished wreath. So not only do we have the beautiful sequins inside the wreath, but we've also got all these sequins on the outside, adding additional color and adding an extra bit of sparkle and shine to finish this off. I added a sentiment to the inner part of that panel and another supporting sentiment on a piece of that same blue cardstock that we used for the back of the shaker card. I really love how clean and simple this card is, but yet all those sequins add such a big impact to this card. Really beautiful and elegant, and I'm really excited with how this card turned out. Alright, so my final idea is to create a double shaker. And this is really fun to experiment with because you can create multiple layers of shakers all together into one and make a really fun shaker card. So I'm going to show you how easy this is to do. I'm going to be using our new wonky stitch heart dies. I'm cutting first one of them from some aqua cardstock from Lawn Fawn. I'm nesting 2 of the hearts, the largest and the medium size. And this is going to create a heart, but also a window inside that heart. So if we cut just the largest, we'd have a solid heart. But because we're cutting the smaller heart inside of that larger heart, that's creating a window inside of that larger heart. So you can see we have this great frame. Also, that would be really cute to use as a frame for, say, a photo or something on a card. Really cute. I'm also going to do that once again by taking the medium-sized heart and a slightly different shade of cardstock. This time I'm going to nest the smallest heart into that medium-sized heart, and I'm going to cut this one as well. And this is creating a second window that's going to be slightly smaller and fit right inside of the window that we just cut from our largest stitched heart. I'm setting aside the solid pieces. We don't need those right now. But here you can see how we can nest those 2 pieces inside to create the windows. I'm also going to die cut that smallest heart, and I'm going to use some really pale blue cardstock from Simon Says Stamp to cut this one. This one I'm not cutting a window into. This is going to be the middle portion of the card. Now that I have all my frames cut, I'm taking some more acetate, and I'm going to die cut these acetate pieces from both the largest and the medium-sized heart. These are going to be the backers for our windows. So you can see here that the largest heart will have this piece of acetate behind it, and then the medium heart will have the second piece of acetate behind it. Now that largest heart, I actually die cut from an A2 size piece of cardstock, so that's why you see the sides are cut off. This is going to end up fitting directly onto an A2 size card, so by having the sides already cut off, it makes it easier to have it already trimmed off instead of having to do it later. Here I'm attaching the acetate pieces to the hearts themselves. These are creating our windows. So we're building a shaker card just like we did on the previous card. But this time they're shaped, then they're not attached to the actual card yet. So I'm trimming off the excess pieces of the acetate so that way it's the same size as our heart. Now I'm taking some more of that foam tape and I'm adding some foam tape around the edges of my heart so that way my shaker pieces will stay inside this shape. I also attached my smallest heart onto a piece of cardstock and I'm adding some sequins into the middle of that heart. I'm using some pretty ocean spray sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, some iridescent hearts, and also a few sparkling clear sequins as well. The sparkling clear are the 3mm size, the really tiny ones, and I think the size variation inside of this heart really makes it look cool to have all these different pieces layered together. So I'm taking the medium-sized heart, and this has only one layer of foam tape around it, so the sequins aren't going to move as much on this particular heart. I'm smushing that down, sandwiching the sequins inside of my shaker, and you can see, like I said, they don't move a whole much because we only have one layer of foam tape. On the second heart, however, I need to use 3 layers of foam tape. And this is because we not only have the nesting feature where we need to make it taller than the heart that we've already got down on here with one layer of foam tape, but we also need to be able to have room then for things to shake. And I wanted it to be a little bit more roomy than the heart underneath. So if you wanted it to have less room to shake around, you could have just gone with 2 layers. But since I wanted more room, I took 3. And I'm going to add those sequins into the center heart and then sandwich my largest frame on top of that to capture the sequins in place. So here you can see I've gone ahead and attached everything together with a sentiment from our Painted Thanks dies and also a smaller supporting sentiment from one of our sentiment stamp sets. I really love how this double shaker turned out. It looks so much fun, and it's really cool to see the shaker pieces move inside one window and then also move inside the other window, but they're not mixing together, so it's creating a really cool effect. So I hope all of these ideas have given you some inspiration on using sequins in different ways to create some really fun cards. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, or you can head on over to the blog to get more information on how the cards were made, including still pictures and products used. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more inspiration. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye!